9 a.m. and you're still tuned into Salam Media. And joining us right now is going to be Ashraf Gangrekar, representing African Muslims Agency. They just launched the official launch of the AMAN School of Excellence in Finetown, and he'll be telling us about that. We were there for that auspicious day. Ashraf, welcome to Salam Media, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure still very excited. Yesterday's event was a success. The school has finally been launched. The ribbon has been cut. Good feelings.
It was positively amazing. It really, really was the most humbling. So let me greet Assalamu alaikum to the listeners. Good morning to everyone, to you, Salilo, in the studio. You know, Salilo, there are moments in life that quite honestly touches one deeply. And there's no greater joy, in my opinion, than to see the smiles and the twinkles in the eyes of young children who come to school eagerly and happily. And so, it's humbling. We're not going to just be sitting here and pat ourselves on the back. But we had an amazing event yesterday, incredibly well received, and very, very, very positive feedback indeed. Alhamdulillah.
Mm. I think what really stood out for me, was the location of the school itself, Finetown. If you can maybe elaborate why that specific location was chosen and the impact that the school will have, in the area of Finetown, not just for the kids, because there's a lot going on at the school. It's not just the school. There's like agricultural,
Sure.
things going on. There's farming going on. The impact holistically that the Amman School of Excellence in Finetown will have on the community, I'm sure, are way broader than just the children themselves.
No, sure. And in fact, that is precisely the intention. So I must be honest that the facility existed, was established by African Muslims Agency maybe 30 odd years ago. And most people will know it, whether in Gauteng or maybe KZN and certainly in Cape Town, as the Al Furqan Center, established by persons like the founding father of African Muslims Agency, Muhammad Farid Chunara, and then his, partner in the industry, as it were, of humanity, was a Dr. Sumaid from Kuwait. So they established the Al Furqan Center with the aim, in fact, for educational purposes. It was to house orphans, it would be a da'wah center, and it would be a place of teaching and learning. And part of it, and as the place evolved, as you correctly said, there's an agricultural component where, quite honestly, we grow crops and that we then make at very, very minimal cost. We make that available to the community. We keep livestock, and obviously at Qurbani time and Eid al-Adha, it's an incredibly busy place. But we've also created, other little small industries, and it's our intention, obviously, to uplift the community, but our students at our school. So, for example, we're growing strawberries. We have, our kids won't be involved in this. We have a beehive that we want to start extracting honey from. So, in terms of the location in Finetown, and for those of us not familiar, it's in Southern Asia. I think it borders Annandale. So for me sitting in Cape Town, I mean, I needed to get my logistics right as well. I'm saying to you, Solelo, was the notion of it was established in an impoverished community with the sole purpose of improving the lives of the persons in that community. And then what we did was, I was at a staff meeting that we had at Al Furqan, and the number of students who were then staying there, because what they would do, they'd actually be living at Al Furqan. They would be fed, as in breakfast, lunch, and supper, but they would attend other schools in the surrounding areas and maybe some of the other Muslim schools as well. And then it was for me, a logical step to repurpose the building, as it were, and then turn it into the school. And the aim is precisely as you say. I'm sure we'll speak about the kids in the school in a second, but the aim is to impact and uplift the community. And I want to really, give a huge shout out to the community. We've been exceptionally well received, huge support from the community. And alhamdulillah, that for me has been the most humbling. So, for us as African Muslims Asians to be working then in a local community, in inverted commas, going back to our roots, that's just been fantastic. It really has been.
I think let's go to the school itself. Could you provide maybe some insights into the unique features and the educational philosophy of the Amman School, and how do you see it complementing AMA's broader initiatives and contributing to the students' lives essentially?
Yeah, sure. So I'd like to believe our approach is it's not unique. Let me be honest. There are very, very many fine schools across the country. There are fine schools in Gauteng. But and I think our approach though is different. And I think the first thing I want to say is that our approach is that education must be child centered. The school exists for the children, not the other way around. The kids don't come, because we exist. So that we created the school with the sense of a values based education that allows the child to fulfill his or her own potential. Now, that often sounds very cliched. So, what
Mm,
we've done is to take that, in a sense, cliche and say, let's water that down. And to say to our children, number one, we can have small classes. I mean, we employed a teacher who came to us from a surrounding state school, and it was no fault of hers. But I asked her, why would you want to leave the school that you're at? And she says, I'm teaching in a class with 74 children in grade 4. Now, that's an indictment on the education system, certainly not on the teacher, because if anyone who sits back and thinks, well, how are you going to teach 74 kids whose job it is to have ants in their pants, to be jumping around as kids always do? That's not educationally sound. Cut a long
mm,
story short, so the first thing I want to speak about is this notion of character development. And so for us, and I want to make this point, Salelo, that alhamdulillah, by Allah's mercy and grace, a large percentage of the children at the school are non-Muslim. And so our approach is being that we will have Islamic studies as a component, that they are taught Islamic studies. But I've made a promise to the parents that we're not here to convert anyone. If people wish to be, attracted to Islam and Allah grants the hidayah, all we're doing is sharing the message. And in fact, that's been the most humbling thing when, a few parents have come forward and said, how does my child become a Muslim? We are interested in Islam as a family, etc., etc. And that dawah component, which we've not set out overtly to do, but as I said, Islamic studies is part of the curriculum. I think that's been amazing. So the first part, character development, but never at the expense of good academics. So we've, employed a dedicated, experienced staff, a maximum of 25 in each class. And then we've started adding, I'm not going to say to you the frills, but the essential parts. On the 1st of Feb, for example, we started teaching coding and robotics. We went to an outside service provider, and that's been the best lesson. And I'm telling you, Salelo, to see kids rush to the computer lab. Some of them have never either seen a computer, most of them don't have one at home, and to then be engaging with the language of the present and indeed the future, that's been empowering. And so the last point I want to make is how does this tie in with the package of AMA, African Muslims Agency? I want to make it clear that this school, AMAN SA, is not a isolated project or something we know nothing about. It's in fact the sister school of, I've been on your station previously with gratitude. There is the AMAN school in Lebanon, that this is the 4th year of its existence. And so we're not trying to just duplicate and replicate, but I use that as an indication of AMA's commitment to education, because we understand that education, I think, is the tool that is needed to break the cycles of poverty that our children and families find themselves in. So what's our unique features? Love, care, nurturing, small classes, character development, excellent academics, with
mm,
the tools to allow them to embrace their futures.
Well said there. Ramadan is, approaching very fast. Could you maybe elaborate on some of the preparations, currently taking place at the Al Furqan Center, where the Amman School is located? Additionally, could you discuss the ways in which the center traditionally provides support for the communities across South Africa during the holy month of Ramadan?
Sure. A lot of you were there yesterday. So, Al Furqan, the center where Aman SA is based, also serves as the heartthrob of AMA in terms of its resources and facilities, in terms of the storage of goods to be distributed. So it started already. So for us, alhamdulillah, Ramadan is maybe 2-3 weeks away. But for us, it started at the end of Jan, meaning there's the warehouse that is filled to capacity. Allah's mercy and grace, the generosity of persons. And so we have trucks that come in now on a daily basis that need to be loaded up and then taken to the far-flung areas of our country. so that trucks would leave what's the area, Finetown, and go to Gauteng, go to Cape Town, and go to our offices there. The offices then secure a local warehouse in their region, and from there, those goods, those hampers, those Ramadan iftar boxes are then distributed to the most needy. So this is not something that we can start then in Ramadan, because people are, there's a need from the first. In fact, the need obviously goes beyond Ramadan. But from the first of Ramadan, we expect to be serving people to the best of our ability. With regards to the community of Finetown, we have regular mass iftars, and then we in fact start the distribution in Finetown as well. So as much as there's an academic school at Al Furqan, we don't forget the community, and so there's a masjid in which obviously all 5 daily salahs are performed. Tarawih salah is performed there as well. So we invite community to come and eat with us and then pray with us. And inshallah, Allah accept all our efforts. So how is Furqan, and as a hub and its business, it's overwhelmingly busy. But it's
Mm.
again a very, very humbling experience to serve Allah by serving His creation.
And just lastly, to those that would like to get involved, to those that like to give, or maybe sponsor, so some of the kids in the school, how do they get involved? I heard yesterday that, you mentioned that almost half of the kids that are going to the school are sponsored, but seemingly the other half are not sponsored.
Sure. And that would be a travesty if we ever said to a child, you can't come because there wasn't the money. So I'm appealing to, our listeners, viewers, and anybody who's listening to this in streaming or etc., that the total cost of the school is 18,000 Rand per annum, of which the parent, and I'd say to you, maybe 80, 90% of the parents are unemployed in the area. It's an impoverished, low socioeconomic area, but we make them make a contribution so that they take a sense of accountability, and then quite honestly they can hold us accountable for what's happening at the school. So the parents pay 250 Rand a month, and that leaves us with finding 15,000 Rand per child. And so I know for most people that's a lot of money, Salelo. I'm not going to be sitting here and simply, be ignorant of the financial times we find ourselves. But I want to encourage everyone that when we invest in a child for a sadaqah to jariyah for ourselves and that child's future, we've contributed to their education and learning, then potentially this is life changing, and I dare say life saving for us. So if anyone is interested, firstly I want to share an open invitation. Please come along. AMAN SA is in Finetown at what we used to be the Al Furqan Center of African Muslims Agency. If you're unable to do that, we have an office in Houghton, in Johannesburg, Fordsburg. There's an office in Durban. There's an office in Cape Town. Pop in at the office. Otherwise, go onto our website and you will get all the information there and make a contribution. If you can't afford the full 15,000, you can manage 100 Rand as a sadaqah for your family and for yourself, then please do so. Trust me, it will be utilized in the well being and the development of young people. And if we are speaking about the next generation and the next future leaders, then it is our responsibility to contribute to that now, please.
Mm. That was Ashraf Gangrekar of the African Muslims Agency. Thank you so much for joining us with Ramadan fast approaching. I'm sure we'll be talking to you in a short while, but for now, it's goodbye. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Shukran so much. Take care. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's Know Your Manifesto. We'll be talking to another political party leading to the 2024 elections. We are continuing with our segment, Know Your Manifesto, where we're talking to different political parties about the work that they're doing, how they're preparing for the upcoming elections, why you should be voting for them, and most importantly, what are some of the promises? What are they bringing to the table that other political parties do not have? I will be speaking to Azapo, the Azanian People's Organization. Their representative will be joining us on the line after this short break.